This video is on the die size that we can expect the M1x to come out at. And I've done the calculations, and we can expect it to be about 215 millimeters squared. So this is quite a large die for a mobile, or for an APU, for a laptop APU. Compare that with AMD's Renoir APUs. They come in, an 8-core with graphics comes in at about 150 millimeters squared. Intel's Tiger Lake 10 nanometer APU with 4 cores and graphics comes in at 146 millimeters squared. So these are quite large, but they're not the largest dies that are on the market. For example, the Sony PlayStation APU is about 310 millimeters squared, and the Xbox APU is 360 millimeters squared. And both of those APUs are made on TSMC's processors, 7 nanometer. So to do the calculations, I started off with the M1 processor, which we know to be 121 millimeters squared, and it comes with 4 large cores, 4 small cores, 8 graphics cores, and 12 megabytes of system cache, so cache that's not dedicated to the CPUs, it's for other things. And I also forgot to mention that it has an NPU. So the big cores with their cache take up 15.4 millimeters squared. The little cores take up 4.6 millimeters squared, including their cache. The 8 GPU cores take up 23.5 millimeters squared. The NPU takes up 5 3/4 millimeters squared. And finally, the system cache, the 12 megabytes on the M1, takes up 4 millimeters squared. So all of these figures are calculated by me. They're rough estimates, but well, they're not rough, but they're estimates. And I think they're reasonably accurate. So with that as a foundation, moving on to the M1X, it's expected to have 8 large cores, 2 small cores, up to 32 GPU cores. The memory, the system cache hasn't been specified, but I would expect it to be increased, possibly doubled, or realistically I think tripled, so that the GPU doesn't become a bottleneck. And I also expect some die space to be taken up so that the chip can support additional monitors and possibly a wider memory bus, and also some Thunderbolt controllers, all of which would increase the size of the chip. So, starting with a size of 121 millimeters squared, if we add 15.4 millimeters for the extra big cores, 70 millimeters squared for the additional GPU cores, another 8 millimeters squared for, say, tripling of the system cache, and then we can take off 2.3 millimeters squared for the reduction in the number of small cores from 4 to 2. And when we do all that and we do the sums, we get a figure of 215 millimeters squared. Now it's possible the die will be even bigger, because if, for example, they widen the memory bus, well, that could actually add another 15 or so millimeters squared if they went from 128-bit bus to something much bigger for a better performance. And Apple does seem to have a lot of focus on memory performance within their machines, so that wouldn't be an impossible outcome. You could end up with quite a large die indeed. But of course, this is all speculation. We don't know anything truly true about the M1X until it comes out. If you've got any information, or you have some corrections or something you want to tell me about the M1X and my calculations, please put something in the comments. Thanks for watching.